Friday, April 7th. Got Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple, and I'm Dan Cook filling in for Todd Rich. We've got kind of a pretty quiet Friday. Nothing left on the fundamental front. Markets kind of a little bit of divergence here and there. A couple of items moving, but overall fairly quiet. We're going to take a look at quite a few markets. Some pretty actually big news headlines out as well. So with that, before we get going here, though, I want to remind everybody that trading involves risk. Might not be appropriate for all people at all times. It always has to be risk capital. It can't be things earmarked for groceries or mortgage. That's just the surest way to fail. Only risk capital. We're going to be talking about markets today. It is for educational purposes only, showing you a form of analysis. Please don't take these as buy and sell recommendations. Always do your homework. We've got some great information, but you've got to take accountability for your trading decisions. And with that, I will turn it back over to you, Brian.
Sure.
At least I believe I will.
Oh, okay. Yep. Let me see. I gotta make sure. Let me switch everything to the right piece. Here we go. There's what we're looking for.
Okay. 1 second.
I wasn't sure if you had a disclaimer or not. I was like, wait, I got everything up. All right. So yeah, interesting kind of 24 hours. Not as much movement for Friday as what you would see. We have basically Europe and the UK down right now.
Real quick, can you drag your screen? My system just locked up, and all I'm showing is Google.
Oh, okay. This one?
Hold on. Real quick. Hold on. I'm going to turn off my screen.
Let me. Yeah. Technical difficulties. This never happens, right?
Never. It's the morning for it. But I'm not seeing your other screen at all. I'm just seeing your camera.
Try that again.
1 second.
There we go.
Okay. Now this should be your screen. So if you drop out of the disclosure.
Yep.
There we are.
We good?
Yep.
All right, perfect.
It has to happen. Just as I say, it's a quiet Friday. We got to keep it more interesting.
Yeah, technical difficulties. So we're seeing some weakness in the euro and the UK, and a little bit of dollar strength. I would say that a lot of this is probably more driven with just retracing and kind of reestablishing kind of what the trends were before this, kind of the midweek kind of news that came through. As you can see, yes, there is a little bit of dollar strength. Dollar yen, dollar Swiss both up, dollar CAD up, Aussie dollar down a little bit. So again, we're kind of seeing that. The dollar's continuing to grind higher, and we really don't have any true idea of what the raises or anything is going to be. Just everybody knows that it's coming, so it's kind of in preparation for when we do get that news. Now, the pound is a little bit weaker as well. Again, some of that has to do with the yen, but the euro pound itself is actually down just a little tiny bit. And again, is it resetting for next week? Yeah, maybe. As far as the news this morning, we did have Canadian news. It's not affected too much, and this is one of those confusing things. It's kind of like split. People see red and green. I mean, missing by 5,000, is that a big amount? Not really, but it is kind of like, well, wait a second, it's not as high. It was huge last time, and the unemployment rate is going down. So I do think we start to hear some, some positive comments, or not positive comments, but comments that will give some strength back into the CAD. And again, a lot of that is being driven by oil right now. Oil is considered on the weak side. It was pretty flat in the overnight as well. So we're not seeing it kind of, the retracement there the way that we would have liked. As far as other things, Japan is, going to ban imports of coal. Great. I don't even know. Let's see. Does it actually tell us how much? No, it doesn't really say it. No, they're going to freeze some assets of some individuals, and they're going to ban coal, which, again, coal is not one of those things that I would say is on the driving front of, hey, everybody's going to use coal now, right? It's kind of the old school, kind of the dirty commodity. So not many people are using it. Besides that, again, rather tame. India, again, we don't really do a whole lot with the Indian market, but they're holding rates firm. We did have some intelligence coming out of the UK, right? One of the things that a lot of people said was Russia's not really withdrawing. They're just rebalancing their troops. UK military intelligence came out that says in the north, Russian forces have now fully withdrawn from the Ukraine to Belarus and Russia. So, a lot of people will say, well, they're not actually doing that. I don't know. The UK just said that they are. That as far as how the peace talks are going, that the northern area, they've now fully withdrawn completely, in accordance with what they kind of agreed to and talked about. I don't know how to take that one. That's interesting. Yes, is that good for peace? Maybe. Just as everybody ratchets up sanctions. Don't know. So It is kind of an interesting kind of headline. I don't really know. It's not really going to probably affect the markets too much today, but maybe this is the first step. Maybe it won't be a long, extended period. Um, One other headline that I think is important right here is Chinese buying Russia energy with its own currency, making it the first commodity paid for in the yuan since Western sanctions hit Moscow. Now, why this is an interesting story, not so much that China's buying it. We knew that they were going to buy it. I've been saying for a while, if the whole rest of the world says, we're not taking Russian energy, right? And Russia says, hey, China, whatever the price is, we're going to knock 25% off. We'll give you a 25% discount coupon if you buy it from us. China's absolutely going to buy it at a 25% discount. And it would still be extremely high, right? And it would guarantee a buyer. This is now the second purchase, I guess, or second country that is now allowing China to use its own currency, right? Not having to rely upon the US dollar is a big deal. Remember, we always talk about petrodollar, but now China has purchased from Russia as well as Saudi Arabia in their own currency. A lot of people say, oh, it doesn't matter. It kind of does matter. It's kind of a big deal. It's not going to affect the markets too much today, but this is kind of that another story of, hey, listen, now China has already said that they want to take over. They got the population for it, right? Now oil is being traded in their own currency and they're getting used to doing it. There's a story to be made there. So again, is it going to be a huge market mover for today? No, but it's something that you want to kind of file to, that's interesting. When we start talking about, the dollar losing its, world reserve currency status, the next person that they're going to go to, the next person they're going to look at is China, and they're going to be like, hey, look, we're already purchasing oil everywhere with it. So yeah, not necessarily the best news.
I think that's
besides that, that's really it.
I think that's one of those long-term themes, Brian. That's one of those things 6 months from now will come back, or a year from now and come back. Say, remember when we started
hey, remember we said that?
Yeah,
it's just the very first inklings of it. And like I said, China's been very clear. They have their entire China plan, and everybody's like, oh, China's the next world power to take over. And again, we were joking around about, there's multiple countries now that have decided that, two major countries that have decided that they will continue to work with Russia. One of them is China, the other is India. And we added it up. It's 35% of the population, those two countries said that they will continue to work with, purchase Russian oil. So
only 2.7 billion people.
it's only there's only so yeah, a lot of people. And then if you guys didn't know, the United States is in third place with 330 million. So it's kind of funny that we are just completely dwarfed. They have like double, triple, 4 times, 5 times the people that we have. So obviously going to the weekend, again, Friday for me is always an interesting day trading. We had the French presidential election. We did hear, and again, this is something that will be market moving on Sunday. Remember, originally we saw this, I think Tuesday, market was supposed to be a lock, and then all of a sudden they said the most recent poll, it's like, oh, wait a second, maybe it's not a lock. That he was losing percentage points fast because people were unhappy about the inflation, and kind of just, again, the same problems that we're having here, they're having in France. French election will be a big deal because it will kind of drive some power in the EU. So will we have the results by Sunday night? Probably not. They tend to add theirs up a little bit faster, but that is a big deal. So Sunday we will start to hear whether or not there will be a new blood inside of the EU, for lack of a better word, or if it's going to just things will continue at progressing as we go forward. So there is a little bit of news there. And again, remember, don't forget on Monday, actually, we just have what the BOJ. Again, there's been so much emphasis on the yen right now. Him speaking again, it's funny. He keeps like, hey, listen, we're relevant. Look at us. We're weak. But haven't really seen much. Overall, looking at the markets today, VIX, really from where we closed, like yesterday at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we took that big reversal right back down again. And we kind of closed at a low, and really it hasn't done anything much. Like, if you look at kind of the overnights, it was a little bit more of a swing here, straight up, straight up, straight down, straight down. We really didn't do much in the overnight. Now, technically right now, the VIX is down 1%. It's down just a little bit from where we closed. I think that's just kind of showing you the exhaustion of what it's had this week as far as volatility goes. I mean, pretty much every day this week has been major moves up and down. Getting a minor headline like UK intelligence saying, hey, Russia's pulled completely out of the north, back to Belarus and Russia, that they've withdrawn like they said they were going to. That's every reason why the VIX should continue to drop today, and that should be overall positive for the indices. The indices right now are kind of split, right? The ES, from where the European session started, it was kind of at this peak, and we're kind of pushing back down again. But again, I think it's important, for those of you that are fib traders, like you said, I use fibs as a secondary confirmation to supply and demand. That's how it's technically supposed to be, although a lot of people don't use it that way. They use it as their primary analysis tool. And fibs is always one of those things you need to be careful with because, I can make it say whatever I want. If I want to use this bottom or this bottom or this bottom, and that's one of the the major problems that I see with it. I can't make up supply and demand because it's based off of candles, but Fibonacci traders can. I would say lately we've seen a lot of 23/6 pullbacks as kind of good areas to continue the trend. We've also seen a lot of reversals off big levels. There is one in the ES this morning. Again, I'm on the 15-minute. If you take yesterday's kind of low at around 12:45, and then you take the overnight high around 4:15 today, you can see that right around here there is a level that just happens to kind of bracket the 50% retracement level. So VIX is down. We got Russia pulling out of the Ukraine. No news today. This is one of those things where people look at this and say, hey, listen, the Globex overnight, the Globex low is sitting right here at what, 44.91. We got a short if we go below the Globex low. And what do they have? There's a trap sitting right there. It's kind of a bear trap, right? We got a trap that goes right into here, 50% level. Buyers pop this higher. This could lead us to a nice little run. Again, if we get down there before 9:30, that could be a great trade. It could be a 10:30 reversal for today, but just something to keep on your radar. NQ, also a similar situation. We had talked about kind of being wedged in between these two levels, the target level at 14,397, and we talked about 14,600 or 605, right? It was also 50% in the old pullback level. We knew we had some sellers there, and again, you can see that we hit it yesterday. We also hit it in the overnight. It's a level I'd be very, very cautious with right now. If we do kind of the same thing, we take the low from yesterday to the high, you can see that we also just happen to have a level right here, ascending candle wicks, which I love this when I have, wicks that come down where it's low and then it's higher and then it's higher and then there's an explosion off of it. Section wise, I love that. I think that's great, which also happens to be right around the 50. So again, the NQ is the weakest. So again, maybe you don't want to get into the weakest, but again, pullback opportunity. YM, interesting position as well. We talked about 34,500 being a big area. This one's had some levels here that we've tested, but if you take the European session open, there was a base and a pullback around 8 o'clock this morning, and it pulled lower. It's running towards 34,500 again. We've definitely, we've talked about this level a lot this week. There's a lot sitting there. Fib wise, this one has rallied a little bit more, and you can see there is a zone all the way down here, which also happens to have this kind of confirmation test, like right here, right here. This candle right here, if you guys can see it. It comes down and kind of tests and then launches itself. So kind of the same thinking. This one has a little bit more room to run. With the distance this one has to trap, I'd say probably more, right? Probably more of a run. And Russell as well. Russell kind of did the same. It's kind of, again, same spot. We've had sellers coming in this area. They hit the same thing. And if we do fibs again, you can, run it from high to low and the same thing. There's an area sitting right here at the 50%. And it's kind of bounced off that area, showing us that there's a confirmation. So 4 indices have kind of the same setup. In regards to yesterday morning as well, I want to bring it up. Whenever I have an opportunity to highlight other, when I say other, I mean something besides a binary. Yesterday morning, there was a really, really great setup. It triggered right after, obviously, our session at the open. Call spreads, right? With everything happening in the market, we literally saw a launch all the way through. It literally pulled back through the bottom of the floor, went all the way through the 2-hour call spread. Basically, you would have hit your profit target. It went past and then kind of came back down again. Don't forget at the open, when you have these little 15-minute pullbacks, if you can time these with a floor or ceiling, they tend to have really, really great trading opportunities. And I thought it was Russell, but maybe it was, I'm forgetting now because, again, 6-month-old and, lack of sleep. But it was a great trade setup right at the open that you would have found on the 15-minute chart. And again, it happens every single day. With all 4 of these like that, I would say watch out for it. Oil, this is what we're looking for oil, or this is what we're looking at in oil right now. You can see really since those 2 levels we drew them yesterday, we're really just kind of skating sideways. So I would say that oil is not a major factor today. A little bit of pressure with China saying that, hey, listen, we're buying it in our currency, and Russia's like, yep, cool, works for us. I would say look for a little bit more of an increase. Again, it's got to kind of chunk through this level as well. I think it can make it through in kind of the grand scheme of top to bottom. The 50 comes up to a level, right here, where we do have some selling coming in. So I don't think today is going to be one of those days where we get back up to 105 in oil unless there's an absolutely major geopolitical headline. I think it's decent. Natural gas still continuing to grind. And as I said, I think natural gas, I think it will continue to grind. As I said, the way that I see this one playing out, Basically, everybody knows they're going to stop. They're going to block, Russian, imports of natural gas. I think once it gets to a point where it's kind of like, okay, we've milked this for everything it's worth, Russia will shut it off early, is what I think is going to happen. So I do think that this one has the ability to go higher. Again, we talked about the 640 level. It hit it again. It hit it again. There's our 3. 4 is breaking. I just think it's a matter of time before this one gets the next pop. The commodities, they're totally mixed. Gold's not sure what the heck to do. It's literally just chopping back and forth, so not a lot in the commodity. Silver taking a big drop. And Dan, did you find anything? I didn't find anything.
I didn't see anything news-wise driving that at all.
Yeah. So I mean, silver, as I mentioned, I think silver tries to get back down to 24. Big drop, obviously, today, but again, having the indices split like that, having the commodity split is always an interesting thing. And then even, we talk about other splits and confusing things. Bitcoin down, Ethereum up, right? Dogecoin down. Bonds down again today because everybody knows what's going to happen with the dollar, and the dollar is pushing up a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised. We are above the 100 mark, and the news loves talking about, look at that, the dollar index is over 100. Right? Kind of a big deal, but when everybody talks about it, it tends to be a shorting opportunity, so bonds may have the opportunity to rally back a little bit. But overall, I mean, currency-wise in the markets, nothing. I mean, the biggest one is the pound dollar down right now, and you can see that it's continuing to grind and ground right into the level that we mentioned, the 130.20. Where do you go from here? I would say, hey, listen, on a purely technical level, this is due for reversal. Are we going to see it today? Maybe. But that's it. I wouldn't say today's a crazy Friday. And remember, again, Friday, if you guys can get out early, the volume starts to dry up, by lunchtime today. It's lower volume, so there could be some, a decent end of the day rally. Feel good Friday. There's so much negativity out there right now. If we get a feel good Friday, it would not surprise me at all, particularly because we didn't really get any concrete data about what the interest rate rise is going to look like. And again, nothing today news-wise that really can get in our way. So that's it.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Brian. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope everyone listening, watching today has a great weekend as well. We'll see you again when we get together on Monday morning. Have a great weekend.
Take care, everyone.